What's going on, guys? It is me, Tyson the Trainer, back with another podcast for you. Hopefully you guys have been having a good weekend so far. It is Monday morning, as always, and today's topic, I was like, what am I going to talk about this morning? Always trying to think about, if I don't prepare ahead of time, what can I talk about on the fly? And today I thought, you know what? I want to talk a bit about the discipline side of things, and why discipline is important, how we can implement discipline into our life, and I think also the confusion around discipline, because people, there's like this at the moment. There's like you'll see people who talk about discipline, the grind, and doing all this hard shit, and it's always this extreme, right? But I don't want. I'm not talking about the extreme side of things. So I think for me, I want to clarify a little bit with discipline too, so you get an idea about what I'm talking about, okay? Because I think a lot of people abuse the word discipline or misuse the word. And what I mean by that is when you see them talking about it, perfect example, always attacking the bodybuilders. Bodybuilders, people who are doing that whole that whole side of things, I guess you would say. The community of bodybuilders and comp preppers and shit like that, and it's always about gotta wake up and grind, and their grind is them fucking walking on an incline treadmill. Like, oh man, you gotta get after it. Like, fuck, you're on an incline treadmill. Like, settle down. Like, it's not the fucking end of the world. Or they're like, oh, you gotta fucking make sure you get your meals in. You gotta make sure you do this. You gotta fucking be disciplined. You gotta wake up. You gotta train twice a day. You gotta do all, and it's like, no, right? Like, these people who are preaching fucking discipline, and their discipline is literally them waking up and doing cardio in the morning and then getting into the gym later on, or doing gym in the morning and cardio later on in the afternoon. And again, it's on a fucking incline stepper. Like, that's not what we're talking about here, right? And also, it's like the people who are preaching that type of discipline, oh, right, you're single. Oh, right, your job is fitness somehow related. Oh, right, you're also most likely taking gear. Oh, right, you're also in your fucking 20s. It's like, or like early 30s. It's like, you haven't even fucking done life. And like, who am I to say? Again, I'm 27, but I have this realism, and this is why I want to talk about it today, because it's like, we need to also understand context at the end of the day. Because one of my biggest fuck-ups when I started as a coach, typical young 19-year-old, thought I knew it all, used to get up my clients for going out on the weekends, or get up my clients for, because their parents, oh, you need to be tracking your food, you need to be doing this. And they're fucking parents, man. Like, I didn't have the empathy or the understanding because I was a single fucking PT who could control my time as much as I wanted. And I couldn't somehow put myself in the position of another client's shoes and see it from their side of things. Thankfully, I am older and wiser and have learned over time that having empathy and having understanding of someone else's situation is such an important thing. Yet, these people are in their bubble, right? And it's a very hard thing for them to have a look from the outside perspective. And also, in saying that, I'll get clients who have been with a bodybuilding coach before, or a comp prep coach, or whatever it is, and the coach hasn't understood them, because the coach knows, this is not just bodybuilding, by the way, but this is just my example because it's obviously the industry that I'm in. They know how to track macros, right? So they want you all to track macros. They know how to, they give you bland meal plans. They expect you to do cardio and weight training, and they just expect you to make time for this. Like, if you're dedicated, then you should be doing this, You need to fucking put in the work if you want the results. And it's like, let's just take a step back for a second and understand where people are in their lives and what they're actually after. Because a lot of you who are listening to this is also why I like the people who listen to me, is because you guys aren't most likely bodybuilders, You're just someone who wants to be a little bit healthier, obviously look better, feel confident with your shirt off, feel confident naked. And with all that does come, some type of discipline, but not at the rigorous amounts of what these people are talking about, okay? And so when I talk about discipline is doing things that you don't want to do. Or not things that you don't want to do, things that you have to do, whether you feel like it or not, all right? And that doesn't mean that you have to do all these things that people preach and talk about, but it's about doing the things that are going to make your life better. And it's funny because there's this whole shouldn't be talking about discipline, or oh, it's not helpful just to tell people to be more disciplined, or they just got to show up. And it's true. Telling someone just to be more disciplined isn't going to help them. But at the same time, I do not know anyone who has said discipline has ruined my life. Discipline has made my life harder. Discipline has affected my mental health. Discipline has done something negative to me. Because discipline does not create any negativity in our life. Discipline is self-love, right? Discipline is the thing you want in your life because it makes your life easier overall. And with discipline comes freedom, comes progress with growth in our life, and that's what we want. And also it helps us move towards our goals, because if we only waited for motivation, we're not going to fucking get anywhere, because motivation doesn't move us in the right direction. It does to a degree, but we can't just rely on motivation. We need to have the internal drive, and we can use the external motivation to drive too. But also, like with the discipline, again, think about this. Is what I was watching. Any of you guys who have seen anything like Nobody, that movie Nobody, or John Wick? These are just characters that I like. John Wick, Nobody. You guys have seen The Punisher, which is like the TV series. Anything that's kind of like army related, right? Now, I'm not a big fan of the army. Like when I say I'm not a big fan, like I wouldn't go to the army basically, unless I was jobless and I was like didn't have anything else to do. I'd go to the army, right? But what the army do really well is when someone comes in, especially young people, it teaches them routine, discipline, and structure, right? And when you have regimented routine, discipline, and structure, your life is fucking way better, okay? Especially the routine and the structure. Because they become meticulous, The bed has to be made a certain way. The boot's laid out a certain way. They're waking up at a certain time. They've got a routine they follow. In a way, they're kind of like robots. But this is actually really, really good because, firstly, you're not going to want to do it. And at the end of the day, if you're in, not the army, just the defense in general. If you're in the defense, they're going to fucking make you do it because they're the boss, right? And so you just do it because you're being told to because it's your job. But that is instilling certain things in you. And it's teaching you consistency, discipline, focus, regiment, routine, all these things that are beneficial. Again, no one's ever said to me, I've had routine in my life and it's made my life worse. I've had routine in my life and it's ruined my relationships. I mean, if you're too anal about certain things, you're like, no, it's 6 o'clock on a Friday night. I do not go out for dinner. That's basically me, but my partner and I do go out eventually. But you can't be so anal about these rules. However, with having this regime, this regiment, this discipline that you're building up, you are growing. You are pushing yourself. You are teaching yourself to become mentally resilient too. Because it is very easy in this world at the moment to be comfortable and staying in a certain position, doing what you want to do, not having to be uncomfortable. If it gets too hot, we turn the aircon on. If it gets too cold, we turn the heater on, So we don't really get pushed outside of our comfort zone that much. But also when saying that, if we lack the discipline, we actually become more unhappy about ourselves, okay? Because you're never sitting there at the end of the night. Let's just say you've overeaten, right? Let's say there's a night you haven't eaten, you've hit your calories and that's it, versus a night you've pigged out a little bit. The night you hit your calories, you're not sitting there on the end of your bed, head down, being like, fuck, I wish I wasn't as disciplined. Man, I was successful today. Fuck, I wish that wasn't me, I wish I had less discipline. No one's fucking saying that, But if you overeat, you're like, fuck, why did I slip up? I wish I was in more self-control, I wish I was able to stick to it. I wish I was able to do this. And, you wish you were actually more disciplined. And that's the interesting thing. Discipline helps us more than anything. Again, no one's complaining that they're too disciplined, right? Fuck. But discipline is hard, okay? And that's something we have to understand. It's okay if you lack discipline or you want to build it up, because we all need to work on it. And this is why I always talk about starting small and moving up, right? If you want to be disciplined doing 5 workouts a week, start with 1 workout a week if you're doing 0, If you're doing 1, start with 2. Because we try and go so far in the opposite direction that requires so much in a way, discipline to do that, it's very hard to stick to. However, if you go twice a week, because you've been going once a week, you go to twice a week, and you do that for 2 weeks, you've built up that habit and that discipline that you know Monday and Wednesday, you go to the gym, no matter what. It's a routine. It's a, wake up, go to the gym. You know it's there. So now you have that discipline in place where you just show up on a Monday, Wednesday, no matter what. If it's a shit sleep, you still go to the gym and you get it done, regardless, right? Or you go on, it's a bad day at work and you're exhausted, but you're still like, nah, it's Wednesday, I go to the gym, I get it done. That is instilling discipline, okay? And again, it's like, oh, what, one extra day a week, that's not a lot of discipline. Well, no shit, it's not. But guess what? You're building up the discipline, okay? And so this is why we need to think about discipline is important. Discipline helps us. Discipline supports us. Discipline will make us a better person overall. Now, when it comes to focusing on trying to be more disciplined and doing these things, firstly, again, we have to figure out where we are right now and where we want to be, okay? And then there's that gap between who we are, who we want to be, the whole gap in between. Let's say you're like, you know what, I'm 20 kilos overweight. I want to lose 20 kilos, obviously. I want to be working out 3 times a week. I want to have a better relationship with food. And I want to be more active overall. Okay, cool. So then we think about all those things that you want to do. What's the easiest thing for you to implement first that's going to build up discipline? Is it going to the gym once or twice a week? Is it going for more walks during the day? Is it swapping some shitty food out for better food? There's no right or wrong, but what are you going to focus on first, okay? What are you going to put your attention towards that discipline first, okay? Because you can't be disciplined in every single bit of your life all the fucking time. We build these things up, okay? So for me, for example, my coffee addiction. I am building up the discipline to not have coffee after 10 a.m., all right? If I have coffee after 10 a.m., it'll keep me awake. I know it's only 10 a.m., but it's because of my ADHD medication. It's a stimulant. I have a lot of stimulants, so I've got to make sure that after 10 a.m. I don't have those stimulants, otherwise I'm not sleeping. So, because I was having it at 2 p.m., I worked my way back. I was like, what realistically would I be okay with stopping caffeine at? And I said 12 p.m. So I started at 12 p.m. Then I worked back to 11 a.m., right? Now I'm getting to 10 a.m., which has been a week of me doing 10 a.m. The next thing I want to do is cut back the amount of caffeine I have. So I'm having 4 shots of coffee a day. I have 2 shots in the morning, 2 shots at 9:30 a.m. Okay, so 2 shots at 4:45, 2 shots at 9:30 a.m. What I'm going to do now is cut it back by 1 shot at 9:30. So I'm going to have 2 in the morning, 1 at 9:30. All right, because eventually I'd like to have 2 shots of coffee a day, and that's it. And that's going to take me another, month to get there? Could I do it? All of a sudden, I'm just going to go 2 shots of coffee. That's it. I'm fucking it. That's it. I could, but am I going to stick to it? Probably not, okay? Because again, remember we had this employee brain and this fucking employer brain, basically, the boss and the employee. And if you're like, if the boss is like, you're only drinking 2 shots of coffee a day, yeah, okay, sweet. Cool, boss says that. Is the employee going to follow what they say? No. I talked about this on another podcast. What we actually do versus what we say in our head, mainly it's 2 different things. Sometimes we're like, what the fuck just happened? Like, why did I do that? And it's just these 2 different things that are going on in our head all the time. And so with that, again, we build up the momentum. We start small. And it's like, I'm building my discipline muscle by going from 2 p.m. I've now moved it 4 hours backwards over the span of 3 weeks, right? So I went 2 p.m., 12 p.m., 11 a.m., 10 a.m., so 4 weeks. Moved it back slowly. I built up the discipline muscle. I'm not thinking about caffeine later on in the day to have. Actually, sorry, I do think about it, but I say, no, I don't have it anymore. I don't have it after 10 a.m. And it's something that I work towards, right? Now I have that discipline. Same thing as me. I train 7 days a week, okay? I didn't always train 7 days a week, right? First, I started with just 3 days a week, full body exercises when I was in grade 10, right? That went to 4 days, 5 days. It was also because I was single. I was young. I had time. Going to the gym 5 days. I didn't fucking do anything else in my life. It was fine. I got to 5 days quite easily, all right? But then, over the last few years, I added in cardio. I started adding in 1 cardio day a week because at first I hated cardio, Then I found boxing. Now I'm doing boxing from once a week to 3 times a week, and I've cut back my weight training. So now I train 7 days a week, but it's not like it's something that I consciously think about now. It's just what I do. It's ingrained in me. It's my discipline, and you don't have to train 7 days a week, but I always keep active. I'm talking to you guys on the treadmill at the moment, and I average 25,000 steps a day. It's not the discipline. Now it's building up that discipline. I made sure I got 10,000 steps a day when I was a trainer. Then when lockdown happened, I got the treadmill. I'm like, I still want to be able to do 12,000 steps a day. I didn't go, I'm doing 12,000 to fucking 20,000 steps with this huge jump, and then every day I'm doing 20,000 steps. It's building up the discipline and the momentum over time. Okay? Now, the one thing you need to understand for yourself, again, have humility, firstly, when you're choosing something that you want to be disciplined with. Have humility and accept this is going to be a long-term thing. All right? Have humility and also accept that setting a small amount of discipline is okay. Right? Like setting something small, like you do. Again, we have this fucking ego in our head where we're like, I should be able to do this. I should, but you're not doing it. Right? So your actions aren't aligning with your words. So go back to where you can put those actions in a place that will align with your words. And again, it's going to be something small, and that's okay because you build up your discipline over time, right? And then when we talk about discipline everyone's going to have a different different perspective on their discipline. Everyone's going to have a different lifestyle. So again, I was going to say being single. Me with my partner, having no kids, we have cats, I work for myself, I can focus more on different things with discipline. If you are someone who has kids, and maybe you're a single parent, or maybe you're, obviously you're together, you have kids, but you're working a 14-hour day, all right? And your discipline might be to get up to go for a 15-minute walk. And guess what? That is good discipline. That is building up good habits. It doesn't matter if some fuckhead on the Instagram, who's a coach on the gear, with his fucking fitness girlfriend or boyfriend, whoever they are, and they're preaching discipline and grind and get up and fucking walk on that treadmill every morning for 45 minutes. That's their version of discipline, but it doesn't have to be yours. Okay? The same thing. So, for example, had a client, her kids are sick lately. She messaged me, hey Tyson, I'm trying to let you know, my kids are sick lately. I haven't done a check-in this week. I haven't been tracking my food. I haven't done any of that stuff. She's like, I think I'm just gonna have a break this week. And I said to her, no. You're not having a break this week, all right? I didn't say, no, you're gonna start tracking your food. You're gonna do this, it doesn't matter. You gotta be disciplined. I said, yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about tracking your food because, that's obviously too much effort while looking after the kids that are sick. What can you do that's health focused and health habit still? Because we want to get away from that black and white mentality. We want to get away from that all or nothing. Like, oh, if I can't do this, it's nothing. And again, she's a parent. I'm not going to make her track her food for the most part. Like, she actually chooses to do that. But on that week where she said she can't, I didn't want that to be a write-off week. So it's like we instill the discipline by focusing on the daily habits. And I said, let's get your protein, your fruits, and your veggies. They're your 3 things you're going to focus on every day. All right? That was her discipline because she could do that. Okay? I could have said, no, what do you mean you can't track? Even though your kids are sick, you have 5 minutes a day to track. You can do this, you can do that. You should have the discipline. Like, what the fuck kind of empathy is that? Right? I looked at her situation. I thought about where she was. I thought about what she realistically could still do, discipline-wise, to still move forward without having that black and white all or nothing mentality and without overwhelming her. And focusing on protein, fruits, and veggies is fine. She's going to eat during the day regardless, so let's think about some good habits. That way you don't write off a week of no progress because you're still doing something to instill that discipline of even when times get fucking shit, you're still trying to eat well. That is discipline. Even when times get shit and you can't go to the gym, you still go for a 20-minute walk because you want to be active overall. That is building up discipline. It's not fucking grinding every day. It's not pushing yourself balls to the wall. It's not running around like screaming you're the fucking, acting like you're the best person because you have all this mental discipline. It's contextual. We're all in different areas of our life. We all have different needs, have different focuses, have different wants, which is fine. But discipline is still the most beneficial thing you can do. You know, instilling more discipline, again, never caused anyone issues. It benefits everyone. It probably benefits people outside of you too, because if you're more disciplined, you probably have more time because you have just more consistency with what you're doing. You probably have more, you're probably supporting other people too, or they see your discipline with what you're doing just showing up and you do the same thing. And that's also why it's like, I always say, you can't rely on motivation. I don't wake up and get on the assault bike and I'm like, yes, I am motivated to go on the assault bike. Some mornings I'm like, fuck this, man. And I'm like looking at the time every fucking minute. It's a grind, but I'm like, you know what? I said I'm going to do it. So I'm going to do it for half an hour. But the funny thing is, after the first 10 minutes, it gets easier. It's just waking up, getting in the groove. And then I'm there. People are like, how do you do it every morning? I started with 10 minutes a day. I moved up to 15 minutes. I moved up to 25. I go to 30. It takes time. And so it's okay for us to make small changes over time because this is our life, Whether you listen to this when you're 45 or 50, you still got 30 years left of your life, roughly 80. If you listen to this when you're 20s, you got 60 years left, or 55 years left. For me, ideally, 53 years left, plenty of time to build up habits and discipline, right? But that doesn't mean I push it off like, oh, I got time, I'll build the discipline later. I'm still building it now, but it's just small things to work towards. I'm not trying to be super disciplined with every area of my life. And I'm like, this is my intention. This is my focus for the next few weeks. This is what I'm going to try and do. And then I go from there. Because I know in the next year, I'm going to have better discipline. If I'm working on it each week. If I'm working on small bits, For you, people, we underestimate what we can do in a year. And we overestimate what we can do in a few weeks, right? People think, 8-week challenges. I'm going to lose 20 kilos in 8 weeks. Like, fuck, you're going to lose 20 kilos. And some people, they go to that extreme and they probably could lose 10 to 12 to 15 kilos. It's like you could do that. Or if you think, if I start to make habit-based changes and I start to try and lose about 200 to 500 grams a week in a year's time, right? So let's say 52 weeks from now, you're losing 500 grams a week. Okay? So every 2 weeks, you lose a kilo. Okay? So after 25 fortnights, or 52, 26 fortnights, you've lost 26 kilos in a year. 26, more than you wanted. And oh yeah, but it's a year. You guys forget how fast a fucking year goes. I'm 27. I nearly had a crisis the other day that I'm fucking 27 years old. I'm like, what the fuck, man? COVID started 3 years ago. The end of 2019, nearly 3 years ago. I'm recording this in June, you're going to listen to it in July. Nearly 3 years ago, COVID started. Where the fuck has the time gone? It's gone quick. And so again, we underestimate what we can do in a long period, in that year. And it's like in a year, you're 20 kilos lighter, you've developed good habits over time, you haven't restricted yourself balls to the wall, you made it a part of your lifestyle, you're now 20 kilos lighter. Like, fuck, we need to have the longer term mentality and building out the discipline over time. And the more you have that long-term focus and understanding, the less you're going to act emotionally, the less you're going to do random shit to try and get a result fast, and the more you're going to have that patience that's going to benefit you in the long run. Okay? So food for thought, right? Discipline is not fucking grinding, is not pushing yourself balls to the wall, is not doing all that shit. It's doing something that's going to benefit you in some way. That's a small little focus that you can do, that you aim your sights towards, and you do it whether you feel like it or not. But again, it's not going to be from 0 to 100. It's something small you work on. And you do it every fucking day until it becomes a habit, and then you build up that next bit of discipline. And you don't even think about those things going forwards, you just instill it. So, hopefully that makes sense. If you guys did enjoy this podcast, as always, make sure to share it on Instagram. Also, just wanted to let you guys know, if you're interested in online coaching, do send me a message on Instagram too, at Tyson the Trainer with 2 R's. I am always taking on clients. A lot of what I talk about in the podcast is covered further in depth with my online coaching. I do a lot more education on that side of things too. I do a little presentation for clients. I do a lot of extra stuff. So if you are interested in getting accountability, getting support, getting coaching, message me on Instagram at Tyson the Trainer, and we can go from there. And until next time, guys, I will speak to you then.